everyone, so today I thought I would bring you guys a small haul of the books I've bought over the past 2 months, I want to say. I don't buy many books anymore. I use the library a lot more than I used to, especially now that I'm living in a larger city where I do have access to a library. But I do still occasionally buy books. I think all but one of these are from a used bookstore. So yeah, I'm really big on buying used books for the most part. But yeah, I just thought I'd kind of do a little haul of books that I have bought in the past 2 months. Apologies if you can hear the fan. It is really hot in Ottawa right now and the humidity is just absolutely ridiculous. So if I turn that fan off, I will just be drenched in sweat. So we're just gonna have to deal with the slightly poor sound quality. So the first couple books I got are some Penguin English libraries. Now I believe that these are some of the newer Penguin English libraries. They've added to their initial run. So the first one is Elizabeth von Iram's Elizabeth and Her German Garden. I have read this one. I quite enjoyed it. It's a very slim volume, but I saw this at the used bookstore and I really loved Her Enchanted April, so I decided to pick this copy up. And then the other one I got is The Great God Pan by Arthur Machen. I have vaguely heard of this one, and also I was attracted by the fact that it mentioned Pan. As you guys know, I love my classical myths. So yeah, I just decided to pick this one up. This one I got in Toronto. This was the only book I picked up there. As you guys know, I have a love of BMV books in Toronto. So that is my, whenever I go through Toronto, I always stop there, so I picked that up. All of the other used books are from a local Ottawa bookstore called Black Squirrel Books, which if you're going to Ottawa, I highly recommend. They have a really nice cafe as well. And then I also picked up from Black Squirrel Aeschylus 2, which contains the Oresteia, which has Agamemnon, the Libation Bearers, and the Eumenides, as well as fragments of Proteus. You guys know I love these editions. I'm still collecting them. I only have 3 of the Euripides volumes, but when I saw this at the used bookstore and it doesn't have any notes, I was very disappointed because I saw one of the Sophocles of these and I wanted to pick it up, but it was filled with notes, so I ended up passing on it because I'm very picky about my books and I don't like reading other people's notes. I'm fine if they're like adding, but if they're just plot summaries, I'm not a huge fan. So yeah, so I picked this one up, which I'm very excited about. I have read most of the Oresteia in my undergrad, but I do want to reread it, so this was a nice little treat to find. And then the next 2 I have had on my wish list for ages, and it is Elizabeth Gaskell's Gothic Tales. You guys know I'm a huge Elizabeth Gaskell fan, so when I saw this at Black Squirrel, I immediately had to snag this, and the bindings really held up well. I do like my black spine editions, and the font is actually not too small. Sometimes I find with the black spine, they try and fit so much in a edition that they've made the font really small, which I can, with my poor vision, have issues reading. And then the next one, which I also bought on that same trip, is Perchance to Dream, Selected Stories by Charles Beaumont. I'd heard about this one a while ago. They did this whole thing around Halloween where they had some spooky stories coming out, and this is one of them. So this has been on my wish list for a while. He wrote a lot of Twilight Zone episodes, which when I read that on the back, I'd forgotten that when I'd add this to my wish list. So when I read that on the back, I was kind of a little, I'm not sure about that. But then I remembered how much I loved Ray Russell's stories, and he wrote for Playboy. So I'm not one to judge, so I picked this one up. So the only new copy I got was Ovid's Metamorphoses. I didn't actually have a copy of this, so I picked up the Oxford just because Oxford tends to have a lot of really great notes. This was really cheap on Chapters and I had a gift card, so I picked that up. And then the last book that I got is one that I already owned, but this edition is just so beautiful I couldn't turn it down. I picked it up at Black Squirrel and I had store credit, so I figured why not, and that is Dodie Smith's I Capture the Castle in the folio edition. This is my first folio. I really like these slip covers, and the illustrations on this are just absolutely stunning. I really love this, and it's got illustrations inside as well, which are just beautiful. I love I Capture the Castle, so this was a nice little addition to my collections. I try not to have too many multiple copies of things, but in this case I couldn't really turn this down, and if I had to choose between this and the one that I had before, I'd probably choose this one to keep. So yeah, so that is a few books that I picked up recently. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys have been buying. Do you guys buy new? Do you guys buy used? I find now that I'm in a city where I have a really good used bookstore, I buy a lot more used than I do new, and kind of just go with what they have versus, you know, before, when I was living in a fairly remote area, I was ordering online a lot. So I much prefer supporting local bookshops, but I also understand that that's not a thing that everyone can do. It's the same as using libraries. When I lived in a small rural town, it wasn't always feasible, especially with what's going on in Ontario right now. Interlibrary loans are kind of an iffy thing, so unfortunately that's, you know, something that's not always feasible to everyone. But yeah, I will see you guys in another video. Bye!